You think for the first time in the history of the Earth, the killer of mass extinctions is an asteroid? Wrong, you thought it was a volcano? You're wrong again. The real killer didn't do anything, it's a continent that floats to the South Pole. Then the Earth was frozen, and here's what's even more outrageous. He killed more than once, kill for the first time, wait for the survivors to catch their breath, another knife. It's like repeatedly checking to see if there are any fish that slipped through the net. Scientists have also proposed, there may be an accomplice to this extinction from the depths of the universe. Is a beam of light, destroy in a very short time the ozone layer in the atmosphere, but the thing that really shocked me was not that, but in this almost destroyed group. In all the disasters of life, a spore has quietly landed on the edge of the land. Today we will continue to explain general history of the Earth. Episode 5, Ordovician. I'll give you a time coordinate first. The Ordovician period began 485 million years ago. By 443 million years ago, for 42 million years, in 42 million years, the Earth has done two diametrically opposed things. The first half is the most spectacular boom in the history of life. The second half is a true apocalypse in the history of life. Let's start with prosperity. At the end of the Cambrian period, life already has a basic physical blueprint, but the ocean at that time, to put it bluntly, it is still a newly opened construction site. The frame is set up, it's still empty inside. What the Ordovician did was fill the site. Scientists put this process, it's called the Ordovician bioradiation. During this time, the number of species of marine life, there was an explosion. Ecosystems are much more complex than they were in the Cambrian period. You might ask, didn't the Cambrian already erupt once? Why do you do it again? This is the most surprising thing about the Ordovician. The Cambrian created the body scheme. The Ordovician created ecosystems. They're two completely different things. For example, the Cambrian invented all musical instruments. It was the Ordovician era that first brought these instruments form a complete orchestra. What was living in the ocean at that time? Trilobites have evolved hundreds of new species, occupy every corner from the shallow sea to the deep sea. They have complicated compound eyes. The field of vision is extremely open, some are covered with spikes like a swimming armor. Predators float in the water like a string of feathers hanging in the sea. The number is as large as today's strata. You can find their fossils just by flipping through them. And standing at the top of this food chain is the cornerstone, a giant straight-shelled creature of the order cephalopod. The shell is as straight as a spear, catch prey with tentacles. Cruising in the waters of the Ordovician period like a living submarine, it was the undisputed overlord of the oceans of its era. The entire ocean floor is teeming with life, densely packed layer upon layer. At the same time, at the edge of the land, something quiet was happening. Late Ordovician, the earliest terrestrial plant spores. Fossils leave exact traces, and that was not the kind of plant that we know today, plants without roots. No leaf, just a tiny spore. A tiny possibility, but its existence means life has begun to look towards land. Throw it to that piece that has never had any badlands where plants and animals really stand. But here's one detail many people don't know about the Ordovician period. The Earth looked completely different from today. There was no Antarctica, no Asia, no America. All the continents were in very different positions than they are today. A supercontinent called Gondwana occupies most of the southern hemisphere, and today's North America and Europe were still scattered around the equator. Continental dispersion plus extremely high. Together, sea level creates a shallow, warm ocean. The sea level of the entire Earth is more than 100 meters higher than today. Land is submerged. These warm shallow seas are precisely the hotbed of the great radiation of Ordovician life. Then came the twist. Middle Ordovician, Gondwana continues to drift towards the South Pole. By the late Ordovician has been firmly entrenched in the Antarctic region. This thing sounds bland, but it sets off a chain reaction directly ended everything in the Ordovician period. Continents moved to the poles. Glaciers began to accumulate on land. Seawater is locked into the ice. Global sea level has plummeted, those that gave birth to countless lives. Warm shallow seas begin to disappear in large areas. At the same time, global temperatures plummeted. Catastrophic changes in the marine environment. Extensive reliance on warm environments for survival of species go extinct directly in place, and this is just the first wave. After sea level drops, rock that was originally covered by seawater exposure to air begins to weathering. This process consumes a lot, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The greenhouse effect is further weakened, temperatures continue to drop, the glaciers continue to expand. Sea levels continue to fall, a death spiral, that's it. Nothing can stop it. When scientists study this history found one that has kept them so far. Details that are still disturbing. The mass extinction at the end of the Ordovician period was divided into two acts. Approximately 1 million years between the first act, as glaciers expand when sea level drops. A large number of shallow sea species have gone extinct due to habitat loss, then the survivors just starting to adjust to the new environment. Glaciers are melting rapidly, large areas of seawater lack oxygen. Rapid rise in sea levels, the temperature and chemistry of the water change dramatically. Act 2, extinction ensues. Violent fluctuations in the environment, two strikes stacked, 85% of the species in the ocean just disappeared. Cornerstone has declined sharply in the late Ordovician period by the time of the mass extinction. The figure who once dominated the ocean, so after being hit hard, finally disappeared completely here in the waters it once ruled. But here's the controversy. Some scientists have proposed the mass extinction at the end of the Ordovician period. There may be an accomplice from the universe, gamma-ray burst. If you are within about 6,000 light-years of Earth, a massive star went supernova. Gamma-ray bursts released, hit the Earth will be in a very short time. Destroy the ozone layer in the atmosphere. Let deadly ultraviolet rays hit the Earth's surface, directly killing plankton in shallow waters, so as to cut off the bottom of the entire food chain. It's a very imaginative scientific hypothesis. Although key evidence is still missing, but it reminds us, the fate of the Earth has never depended solely on the Earth itself. After the mass extinction, the ocean fell into a dead silence. Mass extinction of trilobites, very few species survived. At that time, almost all animals were wiped out. The entire ocean is like just a city that has experienced war, ruins, devastated, but life didn't end there. The first to land on the edge of the land. The spore plants are still there, waiting. Think about how crazy this is. The ocean has just experienced a cataclysm that wiped out almost all life and the first grains of life on land. The seeds have quietly taken root far from the sea. The land is almost barren. There are no known suitable conditions, but life is about going. That's the most shocking thing about life. It doesn't choose to move forward under the best of conditions, it is choosing to move forward under the worst conditions. The Ordovician period officially ended about 443 million years ago. He left this planet. It's a devastated ocean, and that batch has fallen. Spore plants on the edge of land. Those spores don't know what they're about to turn on. It's just sitting there, waiting. The next stagnant life will really begin to explore the land. The earliest land plants will be found and rooted on barren rocks. Life will test the peace that has never been any complex life has ever breathed. That's the story for the next episode.